Hey there, guys. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Podcast. I'm your host, JB. And, I'm just going to jump into this real quick. But before I do, another reminder to everybody. If you haven't checked it out yet, get your copy of Tales of Shock and Terror. Sorry about the fucking glare. But you can get it over at talesfromthepodcast.com, as well as cool merch, blah, blah, blah. Check out everything else that we have going on. We'd appreciate it. But anyways, very, very special episode. Somebody I'm actually pretty happy to be able to chat with. Wrote something that I had a lot of fun reading. So, anyways, here's Dana Hammer.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. Got the COVID, but other than that, I'm all right.
Yeah, the COVID. COVID. It's it's funny. Don't take this the wrong way, but it's that's the only way my 6-year-old talks about it. It's the COVID.
Yeah.
I love it. I do. I really do. Well, I am definitely sorry to hear that. Hopefully you feel better. We already got people jumping in here too. Hey, Sean. Hey, Shanty. How's it going? Thank you guys for joining in. Both of you, man, you guys really got to pay attention to this episode. Some pretty cool shit we're going to be talking about here in a second. Anyways, other than the COVID, how's everything else going for you?
Not bad. I mean, can't complain too much. How about you?
Wow. I mean, I don't get too many guests asking me that question. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I mean, I've been having a pretty decent weekend. Actually having it off. It's been very entertaining. I got to read a really, really good book though. And I believe the author was a Miss Dana Hammer.
Yay! Huh? I'm really glad you liked it.
Oh man, that was amazing. Is there actually, since I have you on, what a better way to ask about it than asking you yourself? Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your, well, I didn't see the actual date on it. I'll be honest with you. I was more interested in reading it than looking at when it came out.
So, actually, it hasn't come out yet. You got an advanced reader copy. So
right. Yeah, I know it's on pre-order right now. I just didn't know when it was really going to be released.
Yeah, so it's going to be released on September 6th of this year, and it's called The Cannibal's Guide to Fasting.
Yes, it is. And I'm not 100% sure if people can actually go ahead and order it or do a pre-order here, but I am sending out the Amazon links on here, as well as the Cinnabar Moth links, so people can go ahead and at least check that out and be prepared for when it does come out.
Awesome. They can also get it at Barnes & Noble or Target. There's a few places you can pre-order it.
Ooh, very cool. I'm noticing that Facebook's actually having a few issues there getting it, but actually it popped up. It's weird. It came up twice. So, I mean, everybody, please check that out. That's crazy. I gotta ask you, what was the? Oh, I think I know the answer because I read the book. But what was your inspiration for writing something like this?
Honestly, it started off as kind of a satire about how we treat drug addicts. You know,
Yeah, I could
they're
definitely see that
yeah,
aspect
you
of
know,
it.
we send them to rehab or we punish them, or but really, what we need is a cure for addiction. And so that's kind of what I um, came to this book thinking. And so instead of drug addiction, it's an addiction to human meat.
It sounds very believable. I can see this being a real issue in the future.
It could happen,
I mean, I didn't expect the coronavirus to happen and shut down the world.
right? But
Who's to
who's to
say
say
that this
viral
might not be
cannibalism's not next?
exactly? And especially the way it's done in this book makes it seem like it could be done in almost a COVID type way.
Yeah. And I actually wrote this before COVID, but I sort of felt like when COVID happened, I kind of want to go back and redo it and kind of add some
Ah,
COVID commentary, but I didn't. I just kept it out.
oh. Uh, so how long has this book actually been in the making?
That's a really hard question to answer. So it started off as a short story. It just started off as like this really big, buff, scary looking dude who liked to press wildflowers and was a cannibal. And I just really liked Igor as a character. And it just kind of spiraled from there. I was like, so what would happen if you were a cannibal and you just couldn't control it? And I thought,
Mm,
Igor would be a good way to explore, like I was saying, like the the issues that we have with how we treat drug addicts and other kinds of addicts. So that's just kind of how it
very
started.
interesting.
But
It almost sounds like a Frankenstein type vibe there in the beginning, like the way you described the short story.
yeah, that's pretty
That's
much how everything I write is. It starts at one thing as it becomes another thing, and I add another thing. And yeah.
well, I mean, as far as I could tell with this one, I mean, and I will say that this right here has definitely opened me up a lot to wanting to read a lot more of what
Okay.
you've actually put out. And luckily for me, I believe you have quite a collection.
I do. I have some. I have been published in a lot of anthologies. You can find a lot of my short stories out there. I have a couple coming up.
Ooh,
Um, and then I also have a screenplay that I optioned, and that movie's coming up. It's called Red Wings, and yeah. So you
it's
can go
not
to my
about the
website.
hockey team, is it?
It is not. It's about it's about a woman whose menstrual products turn into murdering bats and do vengeance.
It's going to be a movie?
Yeah,
Who picked it up? Can you tell us?
EMA Films. They're
EMA
Canadian.
Films.
Yeah.
Ah, is there a streaming service I'm going to need to see this?
I
And
don't
what's
know
it going to
what
be
streaming
rated?
services it'll be on yet. I don't know yet. We'll see.
That sounds very, very interesting. Even Shanty. Oh, damn.
It's
Like,
like a classic hyper feminist revenge story, but with tampons.
but now, are they going to incorporate the tampon shortage that's been going on?
You know what? No, because again, I wrote it before that happened. I'm too ahead of the curve.
Right. I will say that wow, that one's already a book. You said right?
That's not a book. That's just a straight
Just a
screenplay.
straight screenplay.
Yeah.
I might have to talk to you after this and see what I can do about getting my hands on some of that to read.
All right.
That sounds
Obviously,
really, really, really interesting for sure.
but
I mean,
yeah, I write a lot of stuff, so you can find a lot of weird stuff.
right? That's wow. I mean, I did not expect you to say that. I'm going to be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy. That's what you said though too. Wow. Well, I mean, hopefully that has a good release and ends up being something that you can be very proud of.
That's the hope.
Um, I you better keep me updated on that one,
Oh,
please.
don't worry. I'll be shouting about it.
Oh yeah, when you're ready, let me know. I will promote the hell out of it and never want a thing in return just for you making that movie.
Awesome.
Like, that sounds amazing. Wow. How do I follow that? So, well, like I said, I'm very, very excited about your book. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I did my reviews for it, got that all out there. I don't do that very often, to be honest, and especially a book like this. And it seems like there's definitely a lot of feeling behind this. I mean, you're touching so many different aspects of just human feelings in general. It's kind of crazy, and it's very much so a emotional roller coaster even reading this book,
Yeah.
but I mean, you fucking killed it. You I will just fully admit that I like I said, most people who know me know that I'm reading comic books, graphic novels, stuff like that like crazy. But I want to let everyone know, I mean, over a period of like 4 to 5 days, I couldn't put this book down. I finished it. And the only thing to me that sucked about reading this book was the fact that I had to read it digitally because it's not out yet, you
Yeah.
know. But I still couldn't put it down.
I'm so glad.
I mean, you did an amazing job. I can't wait to actually get it in my hand and read it again. You know,
Thank you.
I'm very, very happy I got the chance to even talk to you about it too. I mean, it's great. I'm very happy for you for sure.
Thank you.
Um, and man, fuck, I really hope it sells very, very well.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Um, Now I do want to say, and this is definitely changing the topic and kind of going towards the show here. This is Tales from the Podcast, and we usually talk about Tales from the Crypt on here.
Okay.
And when somebody is on, especially for the first time, I always have to ask them what got them into something like Tales from the Crypt. And if this is your first time, please let us know.
Actually, when I was a really little girl, I used to stay up like till 2, 3 in the morning with my mom watching horror stuff. I really shouldn't have. In retrospect, some of the stuff I watched was not appropriate for 6, 7 year olds, but Tales from the Crypt was one of the things that we really liked. And yeah, I think it just spun from there. We watched Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side. I don't know if you remember like Up All Night with Gilbert Gottfried,
Hmm.
like all that stuff. So that's kind of how it started for me. I've always liked it.
Right. Oh, I'm very happy to hear that. Now, is this your first time seeing this episode in particular?
It is actually.
Oh, yeah, season 6. Oh. And just for those who don't know, well, I mean, this is definitely worth interrupting. Good job, Shanty. I'm telling you, man, you're
Oh,
gonna
thank
love
you.
this one, dude. You will fucking love it, dude. It's a great book. Um, Anyways, going back into this episode, I will say that for those who are avid listeners, you're gonna notice that I definitely skipped a movie. I skipped it on purpose. We'll be getting to it later at a different time. There's the Tales from the Crypt movie called The Ritual. It's not that great. I really don't want to talk about it, so I'm kind of putting it off. So it'll happen later down the road, guys. So that's why we're jumping right into season 6 here. But anyways, with this being from season 6, this is obviously the first episode, and it is Let the Punishment Fit the Crime, based off of the short story of the same title in Vault of Horror issue number 33. And this episode originally aired October 31st of 1994. I was 6. So pretty damn young for this one, that's for sure. And I guess to get a little bit into this, we have some pretty decent actors. Well, I mean, we we got Catherine O'Hara in this, and I think we all know who she is. I'm assuming Beetlejuice is probably the most memorable.
I think that's kind of the thing everyone knows her from, or Schitt's Creek.
Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah. I guess there's probably a lot of people that probably know that one more.
Depends
I
on who
mean,
you're talking to. Yeah.
she also did. I think she was in the New Kids from the Hall season. I think she did an episode
Oh,
of that as well.
oh, that's
Which
cool.
yeah, yeah. Kids from the Hall was always a fun one to check out. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we also have Wesley Mann in this. Kevin Cooney. I mean, quite quite the cast, and of course, as always, John Cassier in here. And I guess to be kind of short with this episode, it's basic plot description. An unscrupulous ambulance chasing lawyer gets stuck in a strange town for moving violations and soon learns that the punishment for even petty crimes in the town comes with a gruesome result. And it's basically somebody who gets in trouble, goes into the courtroom, ends up getting a punishment of, what was it, 150 lashes, I believe, at first?
I believe that's what it was.
And then goes from there to, oh God, I'm never going to think of what it's called, the head and arm thing.
The stocks.
No, they had a different term for it, though. What'd they say? Pillage? Pillage?
The pillory?
Pillory. There we go. I
Pillory?
think that
Yeah.
was a pillory. Yes, yes. Went for that, which I believe the punishment for that would have had to have been 1 year. Um, Crazy. I was always curious, and maybe if anybody's listening and anybody knows about this, when you get a certain amount of time on the pillory like that, how do you sleep?
I think that back in the day, don't quote me, but I think from what I've read, you weren't there that long. Like you were there for the day and people would come and like throw tomatoes at you and stuff. But it wasn't like you weren't there for like days at a time. I think it was just like it was more for like minor crimes and it was more to shame you than to like
Right. Well, that's what I assume. But like, say you were given multiple days, like what would happen if your legs just gave out in that position?
I, I don't know. I guess maybe you would I don't think you'd stay passed out for long.
That would really fuck your neck up.
Yeah, it would. I mean,
And
hopefully some kind person would come give you a stool or something, but
you would assume that. I think Andy kind of nails it on the die here. I don't know if sleep was their concern.
fair.
Yeah, that's yeah, probably correct there. But anyways, from there she ends up getting another punishment, which doesn't seem like a punishment at all. And they were gonna go ahead and let her go and basically continue what she was doing, which actually involved her public defender being electrocuted and this becoming her new home of defending people in this small town and dishing out these shitty punishments. Um, I guess to go ahead and piggyback right off of that and talk about the comic book. This comic book is entirely different. And I will say, and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and look it up and try to get a picture of it too, while we're talking about it. Um, but the comic book for this is just way, way different, and in my own opinion, so much better as well. It actually ends up having one of my favorite, I guess you could say, panel in the beginning of it, which it's such a stupid little panel, but there's something about it that really speaks to me, and I absolutely just adore the shit out of it. I'm actually uploading it now. I already found it, but the first panel right there with these kids walking down the street with a coffin.
Oh, that is good.
I mean, oh,
You could frame that and hang it on a wall.
I mean, if I wasn't too nervous about actually opening my books that I have, I really need to stop buying the copies that I have and just say fuck it and buy like the archives and the something I can actually handle and read. But man, that is just such a cool little piece of imagery there. But anyways, in this comic book, usually I just go through and say the differences, but realistically, it's an entirely different story. So these kids, it's basically like if you give a mouse a cookie type thing. So you're getting these kids that are going and bearing something, and all the parents and adults in this town are kind of just curious, talking amongst each other, trying to figure out like what's going on. And it's like, oh well, they were talking about murder, and they learned something from a newspaper, and it turned into them talking to their teacher about capital punishment, which turned to them talking to a lawyer about capital punishment from the town, who told them that basically somebody would have to get in trouble and be executed, they would have to have, raped and murdered or kidnapped somebody, a major crime. Goes from there to the judge, and, he's basically confirming some of the same things. And then near the end of this list, this woman's coming, trying to find her husband. And they can't find her, but she overhears what they're talking about. And she starts to get worried. And she realizes that her husband kidnapped the little girl's doll. So these kids, and they don't say exactly what happens in the comic book. They always leave the end to like your imagination. But basically, I don't know if they killed him or they were burying him alive, but because he kidnapped this little girl's doll, he got put into a coffin and buried.
That's 100% better. That's a really good story. I love that.
Yeah. I'll send you it so you can actually read the whole thing.
Yes, please.
It's so much different. It's so much better. It's 6 pages. It's just fucking amazing. It really, really is. Anyways, though, as every episode, after talking about it and discussing it a little bit, we like to talk a little bit about what we thought about the episode itself and give it a rating between 1 and 10. So, if you don't mind, do you want to go first or would you like me to?
I can go first.
Okay.
I don't mind. I really enjoyed this a lot. I mean, obviously, Catherine O'Hara is fantastic in this role. And I think it was very interesting how they shot it and told the story in such a way that pretty much anyone could enjoy this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if you're a feminist, you can watch it. You can enjoy it as like this hyper competent, strong woman who's being like smashed down by all these incompetent, excessively rule bound men. You can watch it like as a Marxist, as like a class thing, like it's sort of an anti yuppie thing, as she's kind of like the epitome of like this, wealthy New York upper class person, and she's getting her comeuppance
Right.
for all the
Almost
wrong
like a nothing but trouble vibe.
Exactly. You could
Yes.
even watch it as if you're like a men's rights activist type guy, seeing, this ball busting feminist get what's coming to her, right?
Is that a thing? Are there men activists
Oh,
like
it's a
that?
thing. It's a thing.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that. I'm just
But I think this episode would appeal to all of those people. And I think that all of them could enjoy it like in a different way.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where would you personally rate this episode?
I would give it an 8.
An 8. I'd say that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I believe IMBD throws this one at like 7.1.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I mean, it's not too far off from what the average person thinks. With my opinion of this one, like, and don't get me wrong, most of the time my opinion ends up being pretty skewed. As a huge fan of the comic books, there's a side of me that is super disappointed that they did not make that word for word straight from the comic book. I can see why they didn't. This is also one of those things while reading it, it's like, no wonder the entire government kind of went against them at the comic codes in the 50s and really destroyed this entire company with some of the stuff they were writing. Kind of makes sense with people's sensibilities back then. But the adaptation of it and just talking like, I guess it's like they just took the title from it and kind of made their own kind of plot around that, which I understand, especially when trying to update it. In the 90s, it's like the closest thing I guess we probably would have had was something like Children of the Corn.
I feel like Children of the Corn sounds a lot more messed up than this. I think in the 90s they could have done the creepy kid thing.
Well, yeah, I'm saying as far as like a comparison to the comic book, I think Children of the Corn is probably the closest thing we would have had back then.
Yeah.
But overall, the story itself still was pretty good. The practical effects used in this for like some of they don't really explain it if they're ghosts that she's seeing, or maybe this town is kind of like a interdimensional type town, because it seems like the public defender is able to see this as well. So it seems like this town is kind of like almost like an in between worlds type thing.
Yeah, I got the idea it was like a purgatory type situation.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what it seemed like. Maybe like as everything was happening in the beginning of this, she actually died, and this is kind of like what her hell becomes.
Yeah.
And, and on top of all that, just having to see all the people that were hurt and just their lives destroyed from the lawsuits that she went after. And, which as somebody and I know somebody that is going to get really pissed off at me for saying this live, but as somebody who's related to somebody who worked in a very similar field growing up, I can understand why this person would live this kind of afterlife, why their afterlife would be hell. Most people that get into that kind of field and are doing that thing, it's like you have to throw out your entire moral compass to even do that job. And I understand why they do, but I mean, as an in general thing, I mean, you're kind of a piece of shit. That's my view on it. But I would personally probably give this one about an 8 or 8.5. It was still a good episode. Just after reading the comic book, and I'm telling you guys, if any of you guys get the chance and want to read this, and if you don't have the opportunity to actually get the book, there's online ways. Cough, cough. Read comics online. Google it. You can just search up Vault of Horror issue number 33. It'll pop right up. And I'm telling you, this fucking comic book is just so much better than the episode. But that's kind of where I fall with this one.
I'm actually really excited to read that now.
Oh, yeah. I with the way you write and everything, I'm not going to be surprised if you like actually go through and read because it's an anthology series, so there's like 4 or 5 stories in every book.
Hmm.
And I mean, if you want some of my personal suggestions of ones to read, I'll feel free to
Oh yeah,
message
give me
me
a
anytime.
list.
Oh,
Give me a syllabus.
oh, you're asking for a lot there. I will definitely do that. But I'm telling you, you're probably going to end up going through a lot of these, and you're probably going to get a little bit upset because of all the ideas you're going to get, because there's so many of these stories that are done in these short anthology comics from the 50s. It's like you're going to read like 10 of these books and you're going to be like, I think every horror movie ever invented came from one of these comic books.
Yeah.
It's like in some way, form, or fashion, it's like there's just so much inspiration that was drawn from it, and it really is incredible how much of an impact this comic book actually has had.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, though, I I definitely really want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to chat with you, have you on, talk about Tales from the Crypt, as well as I would say it's safe to say probably my favorite book of 2022.
Yay.
Don't get me wrong, it's only half over.
That's true. It's only July.
But by the time that book comes out, it's going to be 3/4 over. So I mean, somebody's really going to have to try really fucking hard, and I really don't think that's going to happen. No offense to everybody else, but I mean, uh, you fucking nailed it with that. I absolutely loved your fucking book.
Thank
For
you.
those who don't know, it's the Cannibal's Guide to Fasting, and it's available on Amazon for pre-order. Cinnabar Moth. All these links are shared there. If you're listening to this on the podcast form, shame on you for being late and not watching it live. But check the show notes because these links are going to be in there. And on top of that, there's also going to be a link here for danahammer.com to keep up to date with everything that she has going on. Now, Dana, do you have anything that you would also like to share? Anything else? And I do have another question for you too.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
But because on top of any of that, would you have any other book suggestions, like for people like me who are into like the horror theme, for instance? And obviously, anybody who's watching this
Mm.
is, and I will tell you, there's quite a few people watching right now. But if anybody, any of these type of people are watching this, do you have any other books that you think would really be up our alley?
I don't know that you'd call it horror, but this is kind of my go-to recommendation for everybody. It's my favorite book of all time. It's called Geek Love. Have you heard of it?
No, I'm talking something you wrote.
Oh, something I wrote?
Yes.
Oh.
What? Don't promote somebody else's work. No, we
I
want.
thought
I'm telling
like
people
you're
how
trying to.
great this book is and what else we should read of yours.
Dead Viking Rehab. That's a pretty good one. It's not horror. It's more comedy fantasy, but there is some violence in it. It's about a dead Viking who gets assigned to guardian angel duty to pay for his sins, and he has to guard a modern woman who is his many times great granddaughter, and he completely destroys her life.
Huh.
That's a pretty good one. And then coming up, I have a short story called A Halloween Visit, and it's coming up in an anthology that's going to be released soon. So you'll want to check that out too. I'm going to post links to it on my website and all of that. Oh, and then there's another anthology coming out in about a month, and I have a short story called Meteorite in that. So again, I'm going to post links to all this stuff, but you can check those out when they come out.
Right. I'm assuming all those links are going to be available at danahammer.com.
Absolutely. Or on my Facebook page or on Goodreads, all that stuff.
All right. Yeah. And yeah, that was my first time on Goodreads. Yeah, I definitely made that appearance, but I mean, yeah,
Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that.
Oh, don't thank me. If anything, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have an advanced copy of this and actually check it out and read it. Because I mean, I'm really not joking when I say it was an incredible book, and I had a lot of fun reading it.
Thank you.
And to be very vague with it to people, I mean, it's a fucking emotional roller coaster. It's going to take you all over the place emotionally. You're not going to really know what to think at first, but like once you start, it's a really hard one to put down. I had a lot of issues. Trying to think of a right way to word this. I had a lot of issues in my personal life with people trying to communicate with me, but I was too busy reading at the time. So, I mean, it's one of those, and you're not going to be able to set it down. It's great. You did an amazing job on it. And I'm like I said, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to actually check it out too.
Well, thank you for having me on here.
Oh, never a problem. Did you have anything else that you would like to share before we go ahead and start wrapping this up?
Not at the moment. No, I think that's all.
Right. Yeah, love me some cannibal stories. Just meat and potatoes of horror.
Me too. Cannibals are the best.
Yeah, definitely. Sean says he's gonna have to check it out, and
Yay.
I think this is in reference to Catherine O'Hara. Yeah, she definitely deserved it for leaving.
She was a bad mother.
Yeah. How do you leave your kid?
Like that's your one job, to take the kid with you. Yeah.
I mean, they did have a lot of kids in that movie.
They did.
I mean, you can't blame her too much, I guess. I mean, I get it in a way.
Counting can be hard, you know.
You know, he might have been the shitty kid, and there might have been a reason they left him.
Maybe they had a much better time without him, you know.
Yeah, we weren't there. Who are we to judge?
That's true.
You know. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And honestly, feel free to get a hold of me anytime you have something coming out and want to come back on again. I mean,
awesome.
I truly loved your work. Leave something important in the car so you don't forget your kids.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's like they had a better time without him for sure. Yeah, you're right. He definitely, there's something fucked up with that kid. There's no argument there.
Something's not right with him.
No, not at all. It's pretty rough. So thank you once again, everybody. Please check out everything she has going on. Check out her book. Go pre-order it like Shanty did. If you want to be a cool guy, be like Shanty. Pre-order this book. You're not going to regret it in the least bit. Also, while you're going and pre-ordering this book, make sure you head over to talesfromthepodcast.com, pick up my comic book, and whatever else you want to on there. Hell, there's even a PayPal link somewhere. I mean, feel free to just throw money in there. It's that's what all the cool kids are doing it these days. But thank you once again. Greatly appreciate it. Everyone, please check out her work. You sure you don't have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, no.
No? No? All right. Keep up to date. DanaHammer.com. Check out everything she has going on. And with that being said, the crypt is closed.
Thanks for listening, kiddies. You're all a scream.